Ashley, and this is Let's Talk Dispatch.
I do. You're gonna do it. Do it really well.
And I believe the world needs more dispatchers.
Around in the mud, blood, and beer.
Years that I'm not working 4th of July. 4th of July.
Hey, community policing, right? What about community dispatch?
So on this show, with the help of my guests, we will educate, empower, and support the heroes behind the headset.
Right.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode here at Let's Talk Dispatch. Today's guest, super excited to bring on, has spent 10 years as a dispatcher before moving into the private sector and is now a financial advisor. Honestly, it's really a family affair as her husband is a dispatcher as well, and previously a New York City firefighter. So today we're going to talk about, of course, our experiences in the field, as well as something we think we talk about doing often, but sometimes don't really get around to doing it, which is planning ahead and planning for the unknown. So today I'm bringing on my guest, Amanda. Hi, Amanda.
Hey,
How's it going?
it's good. It's good. No complaints.
No complaints. So, me and Amanda had some rough goes getting this on the schedule. Let me tell you, time conversion is hard. So for all my previous guests who ran into this issue, I promise I fixed it on the website. And for my future guests, when you do schedule, it is now allowing you to choose your local time, because we are talking with folks who are doing this job in this line of work all across the states, sometimes even across, the seas. So I am very excited to have fixed that problem, I hope. How's your day going otherwise, Amanda?
It's good. It's good. It's been a good day. It's been a really busy day. But like I said, I can't complain about that. Like,
Isn't that the truth, man? I tell you, it's my Saturday. So like, I'm like, oh, this is like I just slow roll things. I kind of like clean up from the disaster that I've left all throughout my work week. It's when my fiance texted me yesterday morning and she was like, were you in crisis this morning? And I was like, well, I was running late. She was like, yeah, man, shit was everywhere. I mean, she was like, there was like a tornado in the bathroom. Like, you could just tell. I was like, okay, I gotta go. I'm running late. So.
Yep. My husband runs into that, frequently throughout the week, at least 4 to 5 of those days. So we're used to it. Plus,
right? We can't predict the weather. You never know when a tornado's coming.
Yeah. Usually that tornado happens to be me. Probably more predictable than I give it credit, but
oh my gosh, right? What is that TikTok thing that's going, the X, like you're where people are doing X with their person, and I'm like, I know my person's ick is like I leave a trail in general. I like get in the house, I'm like, oh, it's hot, take my jacket off, my jacket over here, can take my hat off down the hall. Like there's no rhyme or reason. It's just a thing that we accept in this relationship as a reality. So
dirty laundry belongs on the floor somewhere. So
right? I mean, how else are you gonna know it's dirty, honestly?
Right.
I mean,
yeah, makes sense to me. I mean, my kids obviously feel the same way. So,
oh my gosh, so funny. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into public safety.
Yeah. So I guess it was 12 years ago now, I would say. Yeah, I got pregnant really early. But my son is amazing. And so no regrets there.
Mm-hmm.
But basically after he was born, I decided, you know what, it's time to grow up. Let's get a real job.
Mm-hmm.
And so I actually went back to school while he was 1, roughly, for public safety. So for police sciences originally.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had some really great professors, especially people who are very well connected within, the Dane County community, which is where I was living at the time. And so one of them had suggested, well, why don't you, you're almost through school, but not quite. Like, why don't you go apply for dispatch? It'll be a nice foot in the door. get some experience under your belt, you're going to be much, much more attractive to potential police departments after that.
Mm.
And then, I live in Wisconsin. If you didn't know, Wisconsin sucks of weather. Like, I hate living here. I don't know why I am still here. But yeah, so I got really used to this nice climate controlled environment where people weren't shooting at me. So, kind of just took off from there. So as soon as I started, we had a big change in management, probably 2 years in or so. So a ton of our people left and I moved up really fast in seniority. And so it was just it's too good to give up.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. And, it's so funny because I've talked about it on the show before in regards to the weather. So I'm in Cali, Bay Area. Like our weather is really like consistent and we're babies when it starts to get just a little cold, just a little rain. We're acting like it's 12 feet of snow. Like what is happening? Who's going to fix this? Who broke it? We have very thin skin for weather change. And I went to school in Iowa where I got my first experience of actual seasons. So when I got into this line of work, I always wondered, like, for folks who are like legit winters and legit snows, and like, as an officer, like, are you getting out and chasing someone in 12-foot snow? You know what I mean? Like, it sounds terrible.
It is terrible. Like, I don't even like going outside yesterday. I think it was yesterday or the day before with wind chill. It was negative 24 degrees. And like, that doesn't even seem possible in my mind. So it shouldn't be possible. But it's like you walk outside and like the air just hurts to breathe in. So I can't imagine being outside. I do know a decent number of officers in the area who are probably single-handedly supporting Under Armour themselves because that's all they wear in the winter.
Shout out to Under Armour if you want to sponsor the podcast. Like, I'm totally open for negotiations. Like,
definitely. I'll give them a call after this. Yeah, I'm sure somebody's got their number.
Somebody has to, right?
Yeah.
Because I know when we had the rains here in Cali, and the officers were like out there like unclogging storm drains and like trying to just keep the city from like going underwater.
Crumbling.
I was just like, I turn my heater up, just my little blanket on.
Yeah, I'll throw my headset on. You guys have fun with that. Like,
in fact, when you're done, could you grab some Starbucks? We need some caffeine in here. We'd like it hot, not cold, please. We'd like a hot drink.
Yeah, we'll take some soup too if you don't mind.
Oh my gosh, right? Right. Well, what was it like in the beginning for you? Like the training process? Like, was it a struggle where you're like, what the hell did I get myself into? Like, what did that look like for you?
Yeah, so I guess like when my professor had suggested this, I had literally no idea what I was getting myself into. Quite honestly, they interviewed me. It went well. I got hired, and then I walk in and I was like, oh my God, like this is what I'm supposed to do. And so it was just like this whole big like surprise, like here we are. And but I like the training environment itself, like, and I'm sure every single person feels like this. Like I would go home after 8 hours of classroom training, and our classroom training was like 3 to 4 months. I would go home every day and just be exhausted. Like,
oh my God. Yes. Yes.
It was like I have no energy left. And literally all I did was sit in a chair all day.
Yeah.
So
I remember telling my academy teacher, coworker, who ran the academy, that I went home and like my house was a mess and I like was sweeping. And then I like laid down for like 2 minutes and woke up at 10 p.m. Like, what?
Yeah.
In the world.
Yeah. No, it's so exhausting to go through that training. So classroom training was exhausting. And then, like the trainer that I got paired up with in terms of like actively taking calls. So I'm sure most departments are pretty similar, but the way that ours worked was that, you got paired up with somebody and, you kind of start out by them talking, them typing, then you start typing while they're talking, and then they're going to cut you loose and let you talk while they make sure that you're saying the right thing, which is fair. But she and I have very different personalities. So it was interesting. I'm fairly certain that I've always been a very open, whatever kind of flies out of my mouth is kind of what flies out.
I think we're similar in that realm.
I mean, yeah, okay. So I'm fairly certain I offended her a number of times in training, unintentionally, of course, but it is what it is. But I, in my classroom training, there's 5 of us, I think, that started together. And I became really close to one of them, and his name is Tom, and he's actually still a dispatcher.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, Tom. But yeah, he and I hit it off as friends pretty good. And so my pretty much the only thing I can remember from my very early days of actually taking calls was getting done at 2:30 in the afternoon and forcing Tom to go and drink with me after. That's how I got through it.
Oh my gosh. I remember someone butt dialed me. It was 6:30 in the morning, and I could hear they were ordering a beer at the bar. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? Goals, close out the call, not an emergency. They are living their best life. I wish.
Rock on. You got this.
Oh my gosh. And what's funny when we talk about training and getting paired up with trainers and different personalities and trying to, I think the hardest part of the training process is the constant critique and the constant comparison to your trainer's style. You know what I mean? And it's one thing that I was always told, and I continue to tell folks who are in the training process is look, you can't take the things personal. At the end of the day, they're going to try to critique you the best way they know how to do this job. And then when when they let you go and let you fly on your own, then you can find your own style within policy. But while you're in the mud, you just kind of got to go, thank you for your feedback. And then, get through it, because some people are just set in their ways. I mean, we would come out of academy learning the most recent things, right? The most up-to-date policy, procedure, way to do the thing. And then you get on the floor and the OG's no, we don't do it that way. And I'm but we just spent 6 weeks and they told us, and they're no, we're not going to, and you just got to keep it going, Yeah.
And they've been doing this for 20 years the same way that they've always done it. So they're not going to change for you either.
Right.
It just, yes, it is what it is. And that was one of the things that I was a trainer for a decent number of years too. And that's one of the things that I always told people too, hey, look, I do it the best way that I know how. If you figure out a more efficient way, that's fantastic. You do that later, not now.
For sure. Wow. And did you guys have any big, while you were dispatching, any big technology changes or shifts in what the protocol was? What did that look like, adjusting to that change of scenery?
The biggest thing was they were changing their CAD. So when I first started, we had a MS-DOS based CAD. So it was so antiquated at the time. Even then it was bad. But everyone had been using it for their entire careers and they were all really happy with it. And then, we switched over to a new CAD, which, that was...
Everyone rioted.
Everyone was pissed. It was a really interesting time to start, because it was we got trained on this old CAD and we did it for 6 months, and then they rolled out the new one. And so what was cool for us is that at that point in time, even though we were only 6 weeks into our careers, we were on the same page as everybody, because no one else knew what was going on either.
Hey, that's we're the sink ship and we're all on it together though, right? Everyone's
But it was also this weird touchy situation where it's everyone's just angry all the time. All the old timers are just pissed off and like they don't want to deal with any of this.
Yeah.
So it was a unique situation, but we got through it. And
Yeah, I think historically dispatchers, we hate change. I mean, God, my department, we're going through a scheduling system changed, or like our time cards and stuff like that. And oh man,
yeah,
the drama, even me, I'm like, man, this is trash. This isn't working. And I don't like it. It's complicated. It's just
yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, why would we even do that?
The whole the way works just fine. And like in the end, it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
But man, the going through it part.
Yeah. Nope, nobody likes that.
And especially learning a new CAD system. I was very lucky when I lateraled that they're using the same exact system as my old agency.
Oh, nice.
So right? I was like, okay, I got this.
Yeah.
So the hardest part for me was I had to learn how to do like the 29s, or running folks out fully through all the systems, because we didn't do that at my last agency because we had a Warrens channel. But I mean, that piece alone was learning another language. I couldn't imagine having to learn a whole new system, new commands, new, everything. Like,
yeah.
In
this brand new job where we're like, what's a 29? What are you talking about?
Right? Like,
I'm still trying to master the phonetic alphabet. Like, I can't bring all this stuff in. Like, give me a couple weeks.
Oh my gosh. And the way, how creative folks get in the world with phonetics. I'm like, can you go phonetically for me? I still remember I had like a drunk guy call in, and I think it was like a hit and run, and they had written down the plate and they were giving it to me phonetically, and they were just like, and A Adam, B boy, and then D. Oh, and you know what D stands for. And I was like, okay, yeah, David. You're right. It stands for David. Thank you. Thank you for your information. We'll log this and move on.
It stands for a lot of things I can think of, but you do you. Like, okay. I had one. It was a caller, and they were very adamant that the cops needed to get there right now. Like, I'm fairly certain that they thought that we had teleporters, and I tried to explain to them that they weren't working that day, but they were not going to hear me out on that. But every single, they were like, S, they were giving me this play, and they're like, S, as in she's going to get away. Hurry up and get here. And it was like, dude, you do understand that you're taking way longer than this needs to be, right? Like the delay is you now and not them. So
he said S as in she is leaving. Just
people are so creative.
Oh man. And yet they don't know the address or the location of where they are half the time. It's just mind-boggling.
Whatever.
Oh man. Crazy.
Yeah.
So you've now moved into the private sector, as a financial advisor. Tell us a little bit about that and how you got there. I hate math. The only thing I know how to do is my budget. Outside of that, don't ask me no questions, no fractions, no, in school, you're never going to walk around with a calculator in your pocket. Yes, we are.
Yes, we are. Yep, I heard that one too. And here I am with a computer in my pocket now. But yeah, I mean, so I am a numbers girl. I'm not going to lie. Math team was my big high school contribution. That's what I got my letter in, as opposed to sports.
Okay, I just watched Mean Girls on Broadway, and they had the scene with the mathletes and the jackets. So I'm feeling it. I'm with it.
That was totally me. And so I love being a big nerd, and I'm cool with that. And I think when I thought, when I saw this posting come up for a financial advisor, it was very much well, I've never done finance. I haven't studied that. I'm not going to understand this. But it kind of got me thinking too, in terms of, well, shoot, maybe I'm not adulting right. Maybe I should have a financial advisor. And it kind of just led me down this path of, coming in, talking to them a couple times, trying to figure out where my place would be, that kind of thing. And then, luckily for me, I was on night shift at the time. So I had a lot of downtime. So, I spent a good number of months studying, just using that downtime as best as possible. And here I am. So, and I think one of the biggest, or at least one of my personal goals in the professional realm, is almost just getting to a point where people understand that, meeting with a financial advisor is not, you do not have to come to me with millions of dollars. I'm okay with it. I'm happy to help you budget. I'm happy to help you set up protections that you might be needing, happy to help look over your 401ks or whatever retirement plans you have and just evaluate that so that when you are ready to hang up that headset, you can do that. And, that I think is so, I think it's something that's super important. And I think it's something that, as dispatchers, we literally spend our entire day in a constant state of readiness, expecting, anything under the sun to be possible. We we really never transcend that bridge into including that into our own lives.
No, seriously. Like, what do you mean? Why would I need the thing that I do well in my personal life? Like, that's for all the folks that I'm helping at work.
Yeah.
I don't need that.
Yeah. And then at some point, it comes a time where you have to help yourself too. And, we're so focused on just helping everybody else that, a lot of my current clients are former coworkers. And so, just getting that out there in terms of, hey, like, and luckily my company, the company that I chose to work for, part of that had to do with their concepts and their foundations of we want to build trusting relationships. So if you just need help budgeting right now to try and figure out your finances, you don't have anything to invest, you don't have any expendable income, that's okay too. Because we're here, we're not, my company we don't charge for any of our time. And so meeting with me can be very beneficial to you.
Yeah.
I'm never going to judge. And, let's just establish that relationship, because maybe 5 years down the line or 10 years down from here, when you've got a bunch of raises, or maybe you took a supervisor position or whatever it is that you've done, like, let's just take a look at that then, because now we've established that relationship already.
Yeah. And what's interesting is like one aspect of like promoting this job for me is that I am a big fan of financial stability and working in jobs that we create some type of cushion. And hopefully eventually, if you have a family and things of that nature, that we're creating generational wealth.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of those jobs that we don't hear about a lot that provide that sense of security for us as individuals. If you're a single young person just starting out in the world, or if you're someone who's, having a family and getting into the situation where you have more people to worry about financially and things of that nature. These jobs are hard, but I do think they do pay well. They could pay more in certain places, of course, but typically in a broad stroke conversation, they pay well, good benefits, good savings plans, and can put you as a single person in a position to be able to afford a home and not pay rent to someone. And that is something I'm very excited about as well. And when I decided to go, I should use these degrees and get into the field that I got this education in, that was one thing I was like, oh, I can start making, adult money, and but now what do I do with my adult money? I think that is a place I'm at personally in my life, is that I've been in this career 5 years. I'm making, I'm very happy to be making the money that I'm making. And now me and my partner are like, okay, now what? We're in a good place, but what do we do with it? How do we? So for the folks who are like finding themselves in a place where they're A, trying to figure it out, or B, are like, I got this extra money now, what do I do with it? When they think financial advisor, I would agree with you that a lot of people don't think me as a middle class individual would or they would even talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
How does someone go about like finding that person, finding a you,
Yeah.
in order to connect and just figure out where they even are in their financial journey?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I mean, obviously, so I work for Northwestern Mutual, and our company philosophy is pretty much the same everywhere you go. But we are also independent contractors. So, if that's obviously if that's something that someone's interested in seeking out, certainly talk to that, call them up, talk to them, and make sure it's not, if budget is a concern, make sure it's not fee-based planning. Typically, most of us are not. And yeah, otherwise, obviously, I'm here. I can meet virtually. And, one thing that I've really found in just my kind of venture outside of 911 has been this really great, already kind of established trust within the public safety community, because I am crass, I am loud, I am inappropriate. Like, all of those things transfer, in terms of, yes, we can identify because we've both been there. So, I mean, I would strongly encourage everyone who's listening to reach out, because it's not really what you think it is. I'm not asking you to come and invest millions of dollars today. That's okay. If you want to, that's fine too. But if not, that's okay. And, like I said, we basically sit down and we talk about, what's your budget? Let's talk about your monthly expenses. Let's talk about where the money is going, maybe where there's some room to, make some changes. But also, the bigger part of that is I've been working really hard to get a really solid foundational knowledge of how government benefits work for government employees. And so, a lot of those include pension plans and things like that. Well, basically what we do is we sit down, figure out what's important to you, where you want to be, when do you want to retire? How much monthly income do you think you're going to need in retirement? Those are all really important questions to build out a plan that's personalized for you. And if somebody's not asking you those questions, I would maybe nudge you in another direction.
Yeah.
Because, what seems important to me, if I was going to build a house and you were going to build a house, they would look completely different. So let's make sure that the things that we're recommending are tailored to you. And, basically just valuing out, what is your retirement going to look like? What's your pension look like? Do you need to contribute a little bit more? Do you need to contribute a little bit less for tax efficiency later down the line? Like, all of those things are really important.
Yeah. And I would say that, I would imagine fewer people are looking at that on a consistent basis, other than, all right, I'm newly hired. I'm signing up for my 401k. I'm going to put a 10% of my check, and then 20 years goes by and you've only been putting 10%, and you've gotten like $20,000 raises in between now and then, and your 401k investment hasn't changed.
Yeah.
I would imagine that is happening more frequently than less, Yeah.
And just, let's make sure, I'm 35. For me, it was important to sit down at this stage in my life to go look at these things, because, hey, I want to retire when I'm 60. So I want to know today, while I still have plenty of years ahead of me, what is that picture going to look like when I'm 60? If it's not there, then I know, some cool actions to take to help, minimize my taxes in retirement, to help fully fund that retirement so I can be there on the beach sipping margaritas at 60. I'm not working a day past that. But, just getting to that point of, hey, I got to look at this. And it's not always the funnest thing to look at. I won't lie. It's probably not as exciting for most people as it is for me. But that being said, it's still important.
And so, you brought up a good point as well, like for the folks who are listening and are like, oh, I do want to find out more about this, how this could be beneficial to me. I think when we do look for resources, and one of the reasons I really enjoy kind of talking to, if you really think about like when we're talking about dispatch, it's like, okay, I'm talking to a financial advisor. Like why is this person even on the show? And it's like, we have a hard time in the first responder community of seeking help. Like that's an ongoing thing, right? When we talk about mental health or anything really, we hesitate to seek help because we are the helpers. So I really enjoy bringing folks that have these niches, financial advisor, you know, diets, mental health services, all of these things to folks who are joining the channel and things. So they can go, Ashley had a financial advisor on her episode. I'm going to reach out to Amanda. And because she gets it. She was a dispatcher. Excuse me. She gets how her money works. And she's going to understand my concerns better than like, you know, Billy off the street who's never answered a 911 call and doesn't understand that I can't call 911 for a non-emergency.
Yeah.
You know, like, so.
and especially just having been in that field, like, yep, I understand that what you made last year may not be what you make this year because of overtime, because of those, you know, there's so many different variables that we have to look into. But, you know, for me, especially too, it was like, well, why don't you just let me take that off your plate? I'll do that for you. You don't have to worry about it. And, you know, like I said, we're big on establishing relationships. And so, you know, for me, that's sitting down with you initially, figuring out where you're at, what you need to do, that kind of thing. But then I'm going to follow up with you every 6 months. And so, yeah, if something has changed, if maybe you took a better job, maybe you took a promotion, maybe you got a nice big fat cost of living raise. Like, we'll love that.
Yeah.
Or maybe you had a child and can't work, you know, full time anymore. Maybe you have to drop down to part time. That's the piece there that really brings value into your life in terms of, yeah, I'm going to follow up with you, and you don't have to call me when things change. You can if you want. You don't have to. I'll follow up with you, and then we'll just adjust it accordingly. And it's as simple as that. It's so, you know, but it's so often overlooked. And yeah, I think we just have this mentality of I'm the helper. I don't need help.
Yeah. And so for folks, so they just have a better understanding. So they can work with you directly. You can work with anyone across the states and meet with them virtually. And it doesn't have to be a local thing. Like, what does that setup look like for you? Yeah.
So, I mean, I can meet virtually. I am very much an in-person kind of person. So if you're from Wisconsin, I'm happy to like come and see you, and we'll have a cup of coffee or maybe dinner or something. But if not, that's okay too. And yes, I can meet virtually. We can go over all that stuff. Basically everything that I put in your plan, I can send to you. So I can really truly walk you through that.
Awesome. And we're going to include all the contact information and all those things in the info section of the video as well. So you can reach out to Amanda if you do want to work with her specifically on your financial plan, planning for the future, and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, we have lots of really cool stuff. And like I said, I mean, whatever stage you're at, like I would encourage everybody to just reach out to somebody, get that help, get that off your plate. Cause then you don't have to deal with it anymore. You're busy helping other people. You're busy saving lives. Like
exactly. And I mean, when we switch gears a little bit back off of finance, back into the dispatch world. And like I said, we're looking for folks who get it, right? Like we're looking for folks who are understanding of our situation and the things that we've experienced and things that we've heard, things that we've even seen. And we're exposed to a lot of that trauma throughout our career. So when it comes to like the trauma that we're receiving and we have received in this line career, what are some resources that you've come across in your personal journey as a dispatcher?
You know, honestly, as a dispatcher, not many. And kind of, you know, that was like I had said, you know, another reason to just kind of reach out to. I think that peer support groups, you know, trauma coaching, trauma therapy, all those things, those resources, at least for us, are seriously lacking. And, like Ryan Zedman with 911 Training Institute, a good friend of mine, I adore him.
Yeah.
And the work that he's doing to just try and promote these peer support groups within comm centers, I think is so pivotal because yes, when you talk about wellness, it's not finances, it's not just finances, it's not just losing weight, it's not just going to the gym.
So true.
It's your mental state too. And you have so many communicators who hear these horror stories and have, okay, I'm going to step off the floor. I'm probably going to go smoke a cigarette and be even more unhealthy. And then I'm going to come back and put that headset back on because that is, at least for us, that was a big stigma. Like you have to do that. That's just how it is. And I think that there's been, thank God, like I think there's been a little bit of a culture shift in terms of, hey, let's get these people some support.
There's definitely been a big culture shift. And I think for me in my introduction to the dispatch world, they did a really good job of like bringing our peer support folks in and having like a full class session about coping and like what healthy things look like, what unhealthy things look like, and including dispatchers in debriefings and so on and so forth. I mean, but obviously there's still so much more we can do for dispatchers specifically, for first responders in general, to promote dealing with even the little things, right?
Yeah. And like I said, like I think Ryan's work with establishing peer support groups has been so great. Because I met Ryan actually at a 911 conference. And at first, like when he mentioned that, I was totally that person sitting across the table from him, rolling my eyes, like, who needs that? That's ridiculous.
I mean, we still roll our eyes at Ryan, but for different reasons now.
That's fair. But yeah, even still, like, in my experience too, with the trauma that I had gone through, I actually, after I left 911, which I don't know why I never did it before. I really don't. But I'm working night shift and nobody's schedule meshes with that. Yeah. So, I think after 911, after I left, I started focusing on myself a little bit more. And I actually contacted Christine Bannister with the Clarity Collab, which I would absolutely recommend to anyone who's trying to kind of get over something that they feel like has been a decent, had a decent effect on their lives. And so she's here in Wisconsin, but she can see people anywhere too. She's a trauma coach and a life coach, and she is just an amazing all-around person. I adore her. Our first meeting was, there was just such a great connection. And I felt like she really got me. And I felt like she understood what I was going through because she had 27 years in 911. She knows all of this. And her focus is coaching, not counseling, but coaching. And so, really what she does is I can go sit with a counselor for a while and talk to them, and we talk, and okay, maybe I feel a little bit better because I'm getting things off my chest. But coaching really forces you to action, and she's giving you breathing techniques and just other different ways to just process that everyday trauma that you experience. So she has been absolutely pivotal in my own mental health, for so many reasons. And again, it's easy for us to work with other public safety professionals. We identify, we get it. And so, yeah, for anybody who's kind of stuck in that, post-traumatic stress or stuck, maybe you just went through something really stressful and your brain is just still stuck in that fight or flight response. Like, I would absolutely urge you to contact her. She's fantastic, and absolutely understanding. And as a side note, she did give me a pretty sweet deal. I'm not going to lie. So as I was talking to her about coming on here,
Mhm.
she also wanted to extend that deal to anybody else who wants to reach out to her too.
Awesome.
Yeah, so they can go on her website, which is the Clarity Collab. She's on Facebook, she's on Instagram. I can send you all of her stuff.
Yes, please do, because then I can add it all into the resource. I'm actually going to end up putting a resource section on my page for the folks who've come out, so I'm working on that as well.
Awesome.
So if they're not listening to the full episode, they can still go, oh, resource, and then have all those like places that they can go find these certain things, because it takes a village, right?
It does.
Like I need a financial advisor coach. I need a coach that's going to push me past all my PTSD stuff and my trauma and the things that I'm struggling with. And then I need, a therapist that just listens to me dump. So I have someone to dump on who isn't my partner, or another dispatcher who has their own baggage, right? So we need a team, we need a village, we need multiple people to help us be successful in our personal lives, for sure.
And I absolutely love that you're doing that. And like, thank you so much for the things that you're doing, because I don't think anyone else is doing this. And I love it. It really does take a village. And especially for, the night shifters. My heart goes out to the night shifters, but especially for the night shifters, finding people who can identify with your struggles. Like, that's huge.
Yeah, check on your graveyard, folks. I mean, because I was a graveyarder for 5 years. I'm like having a choke up today. I spent pretty much my whole career on graveyard, and in my new center, you can't sign up 3 times in a row. So I got pushed onto day shift. And then the next shift cycle, it was weekend day shifts were available. And I was like, well, I can't pass up weekends. I haven't had weekends off in 5 years, So now I'm still days. But I despise it. I do. But I remember we had I'm kind of right on the water. I'm like a mile from the ocean here where I am. And there was like a tsunami warning. And I get home at like 6:30. I'm out by like 6:45. I wash my face, I'm in bed, I'm asleep. Like I'm trained. I got it. And then I wake up, and on my phone there's a tsunami warning that comes in at like 8. And I'm like, is everything okay? It's 2 p.m. now, and it's like, did the tsunami come, or like
no one's not sure if you're gonna. Yeah, we're not sure if you're gonna open the curtains and see apocalypse or not.
Like what is happening? Is this The Last of Us out? Walking Dead? What's going on out here? Like we will not get the memo. We are sleeping. You gotta call us twice, because it's on do not disturb.
Yeah, and just like, I mean, don't get me wrong. There are perks to working night shift. I loved going to the grocery store at like 11 o'clock in the morning when no one else is there. That was great. But if you ask me to make an appointment and remember it, there's no chance.
Yeah, I know, it was rough.
Yeah, I think in my 10 years at dispatch, in terms of like actively going to just see a doctor in terms of like proactive care, fairly certain that never happened. Maybe once, maybe. But yeah, like I'm not doing that. I'm on night shift. It doesn't work.
Like I'm sleeping for a week. Yeah,
I'm a walking zombie most of the time.
Oh my gosh. So what advice would you give someone who is considering a career in dispatch?
Stick with it. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna suck sometimes. But stick with it through training. Don't give up. Because it really is. It has truly been the most rewarding career I've ever had. And like right after I left, I think I had delivered a baby over the phone.
Awesome.
And I got it was the first, like I had delivered babies over the phone prior, but this was the first time that something like this ever happened. Like they sent me a birth announcement with this cute little baby in it. And it is such an emotionally trying career, but it is also one of the most rewarding things that you can put yourself through. But that being said, also remember to take care of you.
Mhm.
And when things get hard and when things get too tough for you to deal with, reach out to somebody. Or, for me, a lot of it was I was going to sit in that chair forever. I was going to die with my headset on. I was certain of this.
Mhm.
But after, some things happened, I wasn't going to do it. I couldn't do it anymore. And so know your limits. And if you have to hang it up, know that the world is ready to accept anyone with your experience too.
Mhm. So true. I think that's amazing advice. And it's always funny because I'm a police dispatcher. I don't do any medical, any fire. And I always see the folks who are like delivering the babies and like doing the stuff. And I'm like, I have no interest in helping people with medical emergency. Like, I could not imagine telling this parent who's freaking out. They're like on the side of the road. It's a snowstorm. Like the baby's coming. Then no matter when the baby's coming out, and trying to get that person to come. Nope, I am okay with not having that trauma in my baggage.
I think the best part of EMD when you're going through the baby, the baby's coming, you're talking to dad. My favorite part was always the point where you get to like, hey, I need you to take off your shoe and get a shoelace off because you have to tie off the umbilical cord. And like most of the time, which was so surprising to me, most of the time they're in such a panicked mode that they're like literally willing to do whatever you tell them. You could tell them anything and they're going to do it. And so it's always like funny to me to be like, okay, now take off your shoe and take off a shoelace. And like, nobody ever questions why. So
they start to type. I'm like, okay, and my Venmo is the Raspy Dispatcher at, and I'm going to need you to send. They're like, what? Just send it. And then we can talk about why after.
Yeah.
Like, you're just like, okay.
Security number. What's your name? What's your credit card number?
That's crazy. So see, again, like I'm not a medical dispatcher, so I wouldn't even have knowledge that at some point in your directions, you were telling this individual to take off their shoelace because they got to whoop, whoop, whoop. Do you tell them like, put the rabbit through the hole and then like what's the strategy here?
Yeah, like, I mean, for the most part, nobody has needed step-by-step instructions, but I'm sure that there have been somebody out there. But it was just always so surprising to me that nobody ever questions, like, what at that point, no one's questioning what you're telling them to do. I love that. Like,
I can imagine like the one pushing the baby out's like, why are you taking off your shoe right now? Like,
yeah, like, wait, what? Come back here. I just had a baby.
Right.
Like, get back here.
You're tying your shoe right now? What's going on?
Just don't worry about it.
Oh my God, that is hilarious. Well, Amanda, thank you so much for being willing to jump on with me.
Yeah.
I say it often on here, and I probably repeat myself more often than I'm willing to admit, is that the best part about this for me is that I get the knowledge as well because I am the dispatcher, I'm the clientele, and I'm also pushing it out for the masses. So I definitely feel for folks who are listening and are just like, what in the world? Why are we talking to a financial advisor? It is so important for us to be financially stable, especially when we're coming to the ends of our career. We've helped so many people, countless names, countless folks who don't know who we are, and we deserve to be comfortable after we decide to hang up the headset. And folks like Amanda, and Amanda specifically, can help ensure that you are in fact comfortable when you decide to leave the profession.
Yeah, absolutely. You hit the nail on the head. You deserve that. After you're done with that, you deserve it. And it, and the other piece of that too, like I said, is just take care of yourself. Take care of yourself every day. Try and work on some form of wellness or, do something that's good for you, because we can't be stuck in this mindset of we're only helpers. We're not exclusively helpers. We have to help ourselves too. And self-care is just so important in this field.
It really is. It's so true. Well, guys, I'm going to include all of Amanda's contact information as well as the Clarity Collabs information as well. So folks can connect with those resources in order to work on our self-care, our financial, secure our bag. So we are all, as a village, taking care of each other and ensuring that we, as dispatchers, are secure financially, secure mentally, and we're just healthy ongoing. Awesome. Well, thank you, Amanda.
Yeah, for
Awesome.
sure. Thanks for having me.
Yes, it was a great time. It took a little bit, but we got it, and it was amazing.
Yes. Takes a little time, but yeah, as soon as I get reacclimated to this California time is like different than mine, I'll figure that out.
Awesome. I'll be right back with you, okay?
Mhm.
All right, everybody, that was another amazing episode here at Let's Talk Dispatch with me, the Raspy Dispatcher. Like I said before, I'm in a place where I'm really looking at my finances and trying to plan for the future. And I think we all, whether we want to admit it or not, we're all in that space, no matter at what point in our careers we're at, whether you're just starting midway or getting towards the end. We need to be aware of our finances so we can be comfortable after we hang up that headset. And as Amanda said, we all need to continue to take time to look at our wellness and our self-care. If you follow me on Instagram, I did just recently make a post about kind of my New Year goals and kind of reevaluating, and health is wealth is one of them. And that doesn't look the same for everybody, right? It could be just going up and doing a 10-minute walk. You don't got to spend hours in the gym. You don't got to eat salads only. It all looks different for everybody. But the main thing is consistency. Just doing the thing that makes you happy, that helps you consistently is going to go a long way for your self-care. So definitely take a moment today to really evaluate that and what that looks like for you, so we can continue helping ourselves and helping others. Like, subscribe, tell a friend, all the things. Until next time, stay raspy, everybody. Thanks for joining us here on Let's Talk Dispatch. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and leave a 5-star review. Consider joining our Patreon for exclusive content, early access to episodes, and discounts on merch at theraspydispatcher.com. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. All of these things help support the creation of more content, because the world needs more dispatchers. Thank you all again for the love and continued support, and until next time, stay raspy.